Debra Medina is our guest, ladies and gentlemen. She's been in the first big Republican debate. Hands down, won it. Many newspapers are saying that. The grassroots that I've been monitoring is conclusively saying that they want to know more about Debra Medina. But the first big issue, we have an article at Infowars.com. Governor candidate Debra Medina excluded from televised debate. The next key debate coming up January 29th, right before the key primary, right before voters really make their decision. And with your incredible showing last night, your poll numbers going up even higher, they need to put you in there. But I've read that Belo, the big globalist corporation that owns a lot of the TV stations and Dallas Morning News, they're saying not only do you have to have 15%, you've got to be able to, in the past, to have held a comparable political position. So you should have been a U.S. senator or a Texas governor or lieutenant governor to be able to be on the same stage. By that yardstick, only super high-powered politicians can be in debates. I mean, they're really, as they see the revolution of awakening back to the Constitution happening, they are bringing out a new standard that no one can get over. You can't just be a mayor. You can't be a state representative and be in a debate now for governor. You have to have been a former governor or U.S. senator. This is clearly discriminatory. People need to boycott Belo if they don't change this. Dump the Dallas Morning News. They need to look at their past policies because they're doing a quasi-public thing. They're acting like it's a public debate, but really they're skewing it. Or people need to boycott this debate and call for other real debates. Debra Medina running for governor here in Texas. Give us your breakdown on this.
Well, I think, we've talked about this political royal class in America, and this is more evidence that at least the political establishment and those that support them seem to have an agenda to further that. I hope that we'll use the free market to put pressure on Belo. I know that there are supporters out there talking with their advertisers and clearly making it known to them that they want this debate to happen in Texas. They want all three candidates to be heard from, and we need another opportunity to see all three of us on stage and allow the voter to make a choice in the next election. So people can help us out by calling Belo and letting them know about that, but also by calling their advertisers and their support, their customer base and letting them know, and then help us out by visiting MedinaForTexas.com and driving dollars our way so that we can buy the media and get out there get the message out between now and March 2nd.
Well, Debra, looking at this, it's so outrageous to read the policy, the new policy of Belo, that you have to have 15% in the polls, and on top of it, you have to, and before it was 15% in the polls in the final debate between Republicans and Democrats and third parties, and that was at the national level, and they only brought that policy in the last 8 years, more restrictive than what was there previously. But to now, in a primary debate, say, not only do you have to have 15%, you've got to hold comparable public status. So you would have had to be a governor from another state or a U.S. senator to be able to be on that stage. That is an impossible hurdle. That on its face is fraud. They must be scared to death of the grassroots, and now they might just come right out and ban third parties or ban candidates from higher office if you weren't already in higher office. How will people get into higher office if you have to first be in the highest level of executive office? This is outrageous.
Well, and it's just totally ignoring even the candidacy. The rest of the media all over Texas, and certainly the grassroots, is abuzz with what happened in that debate last night. And yet, when you read the Dallas Morning News and their report of the debate, they kind of leave Debra Medina out. It's almost as though I wasn't on stage. It's like, were you even at the same debate that the rest of Texas was watching? Because to read their reports, they don't address the Debra Medina factor at all. And I guess clearly that's where the establishment would like to see. They don't want people rising up. They want us to be worker bees, serving that political class, but not out here producing on our own and being independent and enjoying the liberty that our founders, put into that Constitution. They set this nation up so that we can enjoy that freedom and prosperity that's God-given. Life, liberty, property. That's not yours to give. It was given to us by the Creator. It's yours to protect and preserve. And the Constitution gives us the way, gives us the blueprint by which to do that, and yet we've got just exactly what our founders knew we were going to have, this abuse by a tyrannical power, political power, and we really are creating a royal class in America.
Well, Perry's one talking point was that you and Kay Bailey Hutchison hate Texas and are saying Texas is bad when you're trying to save what Texas is. It's Perry that masquerades as a conservative, and Kay Bailey Hutchison is even worse, if that's possible, from Washington. And they have brought in, conservatively, a $400 billion looting deal to grab 8,000 miles of existing roads and put toll roads on them. They're both involved up to their eyeballs in it, though they now try to deny that. It's on record they are. Texas has passed all these new districts for taxing. Every few months, a new bureaucrat shows up and tells me about some new tax that my little office has to pay. We are turning into California or New York or Illinois or something. Texas does have people flooding to it because it's not as bad as other states, but not for long. I mean, you're trying to save Texas as a haven of low taxes and low regulation. And we know what K-Baby and, Mr. Hairspray, pretty hair, twinkle toes, Perry is going to do. And for him to try to spin it that you're bad-mouthing Texas, it's just more fraud from this guy. The sales taxes keep going up. The property taxes keep going up even as housing prices go down. Can you speak to what you would do as governor to the tax system?
Well, we've got to eliminate property tax in Texas.
Eliminate. We didn't have it before and built this country. Eliminate it. It's a tax on your property. It's rent. You don't really own your property, the founders said, if you have a property tax.
We've got to eliminate property tax. We've got to recognize that we do need some essential government services. There are some things that cities and counties and the state government need to do, and clearly they need funds for that. But the best way to raise that money, the taxing method that causes the least drag on a free and prosperous economy, is a sales tax. We need to broaden the base of our sales tax, probably raise the rate a tad, unless we decide to also tax property at the time of the sale, in which case we can actually lower the rate. But that's the thing that's going to generate the most economic activity, spread the weight of the government burden, I guess, over all citizens, not unfairly stack it on property owners. We've got to do that. But I think that the governor, he'd like to paint this really rosy picture. I guess as a registered nurse, my job wasn't to look at how healthy I would like for you to be, but to deal with the reality of what your clinical conditions and signs are. And the reality of the economic condition here in Texas isn't near as rosy as he'd like to paint it. I certainly am not about tearing Texas down. I'm about being a realist and looking at objectively where we are, figuring out what's hindering us, and getting us on the path to that freedom and prosperity that we ought to be enjoying. When
Perry was selling
jobs in the public sector and boasting about employment numbers going up. That is a bold-faced lie. You are creating more of a burden on the private sector. We've added 156,000 jobs in the public sector in the last 4 years. He's boasting about adding 142,000 to the Texas economy in the last 4 years, but all of those have been in the public sector. We've lost 14,000 jobs in the private sector. That's not job growth.
Absolutely. So for those that don't understand, Texas is becoming like Massachusetts or New York, and Perry's saying in his doublespeak, that's a great thing. Debra Medina is saying, no, go back the way Texas was. Make Texas great again. They're trying to raise the Texas gas tax. They're trying to do everything right now. We have got to block this. I mean, the economy is imploding in this state, not as bad as other states, because we haven't had the blight of big government as much as other states. That's why people are running to Texas right now, running away from big government. Deborah, I want to play a clip of you.
Alex, let me jump in. Not as bad as other states because they overtaxed us a few years ago. Remember, he built up that rainy day fund to $20 billion because he was overtaxing Texans. Anybody that's got sitting on that kind of profit can weather a storm. That's why Texas is weathering the storm, because the governor and the legislature allowed those taxes to be overcollected in prior years.
Absolutely, and most of them have their hands in the till. Now, I want to play a clip of you confronting Perry during the debate. And again, you were always bringing up issues. They were bringing up lots of feel-good propaganda and having a cat fight between themselves, the two ninnies. Here it is.